The air grows heavy with dread as a mysterious, ethereal voice commands, "Twist your fate." A chilling ultimatum rings out. If you thirst for blood, you had better be prepared to pay the price. Rain pours down like bullets as she locks eyes with her nemesis, her aura radiating pure, icy hostility. Steel bites into the downpour as her white-knuckled grip prepares for the clash of a lifetime. A cold blade flashes through the darkness. Betrayal strikes hard under the relentless rain. He gasps, blood spraying from his lips as the spark of life fades from his eyes. He stares up at her, whispering that she remains beautiful, precisely because he can never truly possess her. That's a pretty twisted way to say, "I love you. But hey, whatever helps you sleep at night, buddy." Blood stains her pale skin as she stares into the void, utterly shattered by the brutal reality of their duel. A chilling smirk dances on his lips as blood trickles down, signaling that the real carnage is only just beginning. The system flashes a warning. Nullification of engagement has been triggered. Objective, murder Deculian. A sudden, jarring system prompt announces the stage is clear, and the player is congratulated for the kill. The developer breathes a massive sigh of relief. Finally, the game stopped crashing. He poured his soul into this character, meticulously crafting Deculian's stats and magic properties just to fix one annoying, game-breaking bug. Meet Kim Woo-jin, the man behind the screen, grinding away while everyone else is out having a life. That's it for today's overtime. Time to pack it up and head home. Being a game developer is less living the dream and more living in a cubicle. He works at a console game development studio, a rare and endangered species in the South Korean market. His company arrived like a storm, pumping out massive hits and becoming a global household name overnight. The game he's testing is a massive AAA title, the culmination of every single cent the company has ever earned. Basically, if this game flops, they're all going to be job hunting on the street. Is the playtime really 11 hours? Everything hinges on the player's choices. Maybe that's why, even for a single-player game, the advanced AI and named characters are getting so much hype. The community is buzzing with pure anticipation for the official release. With a massive variety of roles, from knights and mages to demon hunters, the options are endless. Players have the freedom to be anyone they want. If this hits, the studio is going to be swimming in cash. But if it fails, the studio crashes with it. Time to double-check the character settings for this guy. Meet Deculian von Greyhanuklein, the main character of the episode he finally fixed. Greyhanuklein, that name just screams, "I have more money than you." The team spent months squashing bugs, and the result was worth every single headache. A mountain of corpses piles up, marking the brutal end of a slaughter. The battlefield has become a graveyard of broken dreams. In this specific route, the reason for his death is a clean stab wound from his own fiancée. Honestly, considering the schemes he pulls, it's a miracle he lasted this long without getting stabbed sooner. Woo-jin is deep in the zone, completely focused on the screen. A voice cuts through the silence. The testing is being interrupted. It's the team leader in New Era. And naturally, she's his ex-girlfriend. Because work wasn't awkward enough already. They shared years of happiness and plenty of messy history. A gentle touch lingers, charged with unspoken intensity. The atmosphere crackles as their fingers tremble in anticipation. He's naturally lazy, but unlike him, she's a total workaholic. Her ambition pushed him to be a better person, at least for a while. Even so, he knew he couldn't change his core, despite her best efforts. A chilling silence falls as they drift apart, leaving only the crushing weight of their broken connection. 6 months after they split, he heard she had someone new by her side. Rumors fly fast in this office, and hearing about her new man is like a punch to the gut. He hits her with some classic, high-quality petty sarcasm. "Hope you get married, then." She brushes off the bitterness and tells him to stop being petty and get back to the bugs. She drops a bombshell. The story's end has been changed again. He questions if the character is really just an intermediate boss because he seems way too easy to kill. That's the charm of the game. The difficulty scales based on your choices. She drops a hint that Deculian was actually modeled after him. The realization hits him like a freight train. Do they really look that similar? He's only met the artist twice, and he's already regretting it. No wonder he kills the character every single time he plays. It's like a weird, digital form of therapy. Even their personalities match, right down to the last words. You damned bitch. She moves the conversation along. Enough small talk. How's the actual gameplay? He's honest. The game is fun, but the pressure of the studio's fate is heavy. She's confident. The trailer was a massive hit, so what could possibly go wrong? She points out her new boyfriend waiting for her. It's late and she's got somewhere to be. She tells him not to keep the guy waiting. What a kind gesture, truly. He watches her walk away, feeling the familiar, painful sting of the past. He agrees to let her go. She wishes him good luck. And just like that, they say their final goodbyes. A sudden surge of power tears through the midnight silence. The night sky trembles as a mysterious force erupts under the full moon. The clock ticks down, marking the end of another long, grueling shift. He returns to the screen to test Deculian once more. Man, the artist really went all in on making this guy look like him. 6 attributes, including intimidation and dignity. He's essentially a magical genius. Growing up, Deculian was the golden boy, always on a pedestal. And he turned into a nightmare. Elitist, obsessive, and colder than ice. He's already surrounded by people who despise his very existence. Could they add a trait that isn't so obnoxious? Something subtle for once. Since he's modeled after him, he decides to mess with the stats. He adds comprehension. Maybe he needs a bit more empathy. He keeps going, adding wealthy, Midas touch, and sharp eyesight for good measure. He stacks the character with every good trait he can find. Looking at the final list, he feels a sudden wave of shame. He decides he better revert it before something breaks. He pauses, ready to reset the settings. Suddenly, a notification pops up, scaring the living daylights out of him. An email from developer Rain? The story writer is messaging him at 1 a.m.? He wonders if the writer is watching him right now. Why would they be looking at him now? They tell him to look out the window. He hesitates, wondering what could possibly be out there. The fabric of reality tears open as a terrifying, lightning-charged anomaly manifests in the night sky. He watches in chilling silence. He glances outside and his blood runs cold. The world stops as a chilling realization hits him square in the face. Terror takes hold, leaving him frozen in shock. The sky, it looks like it's been torn open. A massive hole in reality stares back at him. A swarm of malevolent spirits erupts from the void, their agonizing screams shattering the silence. They surge forward with malice. Panic sets in as he realizes this isn't a glitch. The world around him begins to dissolve. Everything is fading into nothingness. Where is he? The darkness consumes everything. Who is this stranger appearing in his vision? A voice echoes, warning him not to forget. Be wary of him, the voice whispers. Deculian is no tame man. He might be hesitant now, but that's just a mask. He's downplaying his talents, hiding his true power. A chilling gaze pierces through the darkness as he prepares to unleash absolute carnage. The predator has finally locked onto his prey. A harsh command rings out. Get up! Get up, Deculian! A piercing, icy gaze ignites with sudden intensity. The atmosphere shatters as his eyes lock onto the target. A maid is screaming at him, and he's clearly not having a good morning. Exhaustion takes hold as he collapses, desperate breaths escaping his lips. The battle may be over, but the toll is just beginning to sink in. He finally opens his eyes. It's all coming back to him. The dreamlike state starts to fade, replaced by a cold reality. The maid is still lecturing him about the household's reputation. She dumps the papers and threatens to get him fired. It's been a week since the sky broke. He woke up in this body, in this strange, gilded cage. It's official. He's trapped in the game he spent his life building. The scenery is far too familiar for comfort. And he's stuck in the role of the worst character in the game. The guy who literally cannot escape his own death. a man destined for the grave. With a cold, calculated snap, he pulls on his gloves to prepare for the bloodshed ahead. The stage is set for a showdown. He has officially become the villain. Deucalion. A week in the Eucline Manor, and he's still trying to process the insanity. At first, he thought it was just a hallucination. But the biting cold and the weight of his own body prove this is all too real. Is this the afterlife? Or just a cruel joke played by the universe? He has become the central antagonist of his own creation.
Deucalion von Graham Eucline.
The middle boss that every single player is destined to crush. He's the root of all misery, the enemy of every hero, and he's going to die. He doesn't even know where he is in the timeline, which makes surviving a total nightmare. He knows the stats because he wrote them, and he knows this character only survives in 1 out of 1,000 runs. He is a villain designed solely to be a stepping stone. He eyes the documents left behind by the maid. Uriel, his half-sister, is currently running the show while he's been busy sleeping. And naturally, they hate each other. What a shocker. The woman she mentioned is likely Julie, his fiancée. Things are clearly complicated. She expects him to get to work or lose his position as head professor. Professor? He has to give a lecture today. He has no choice but to show up. He's never taught a day in his life, but he needs to gather intel. A system prompt appears. Primary survival goal. Become necessary. He has to stay useful if he wants to avoid his scripted demise. He needs a plan, and he needs it fast. He checks his attributes. Comprehension, the ability to understand anything by burning mana. If you're enjoying this recap, smash that like button and subscribe for more. He realizes this unique skill must have hidden perks he hasn't even begun to tap into yet. An eerie, bone-chilling laughter echoes through the grand, sun-drenched hall as a sinister presence shatters the opulent palace silence. He finds that his new clothes feel like second nature, as if he's walked in these shoes his entire life. The elegance and comfort of the attire feel strangely natural to him, almost like a second skin. With the intimidation and aesthetic sense traits humming in the background, he's basically built for this. It feels like his own mind is being rewritten by the very body he now inhabits. The game is fully integrating him into the character. There's no turning back now. The stuffy formality that used to annoy Kim Woo-jin now rolls off his tongue, as if it were his native language. He strides toward the lecture hall with a level of confidence that definitely doesn't belong to him. A noble, a member of the elite, a man of absolute power. Yeah, right. As if that's actually him. Reality check. He's just an average guy from South Korea who got dumped for being a lazy bum. If you're enjoying this recap, smash that like button and subscribe for more. He decides he's staying put. Survival is the name of the game, and he's not taking any unnecessary risks. He refuses to drop his guard. In this lethal world, one wrong move and you're as good as iced. He marvels at the luxury of the carriage. Honestly, who knew riding in style felt this satisfying? A wave of bitterness hits him as he recalls memories tied to these expensive rides. What a total vibe killer. A sudden interruption breaks his train of thought. Who dares disturb him? He spots someone familiar and realizes it's his trusty assistant. The nervous assistant stammers, fumbling as he presents documents to his professor. Deucalion's mind drifts. Is this guy actually useful or just another useless NPC in his life? The assistant looks genuinely wounded, reminding him they've been partners for 3 long years. Deucalion drops a dry, biting joke. Being a jerk seems to be a full-time career move for this guy. He scans the documents and realizes they aren't lecture notes. They're just a script for him to recite. It's all here, every single word. The talented Deucalion didn't write a syllable. He's a total fraud. Someone else clearly did all the heavy lifting to keep this prideful mess of a professor afloat. Deucalion actually offers a word of praise, leaving his assistant absolutely stunned. He tells the assistant to rest, and the poor guy is practically shaking from the shock of the compliment. A chilling aura radiates from his gloved hand as the air itself begins to tremble. The stage is set for a massive power flex. Deucalion feels a wave of nausea. Being nice is physically painful. Is the original personality trying to fight back? He arrives at his destination, feeling like his consciousness is being invaded by the original Deculian's rot. They've finally reached the heart of the institution. It's the Imperial University, Deculian's own personal playground. He double-checks the location against the details in the letter. It's Rodeo Hall, the stage for his upcoming lecture. The hall is packed. Everyone is dying to hear the genius professor speak. The rumor mill is spinning. They say he was a child prodigy in spell interpretation. He commands the room's total attention with a cold, sharp gaze. He introduces himself with surgical precision, immediately establishing his authority as the head professor. The lecture officially kicks off. The students are swooning. Handsome and smart? He's the total package. Apparently, one student is far from impressed. He's been waiting a long time for this specific moment. A chilling gaze pierces through the shadows as her eyes ignite with lethal intent, shattering the atmosphere. A cold, piercing stare meets the room as he emerges from the shadows. Book in hand, roses at his feet. He's ready to rewrite destiny. He mentally screams, labeling Deculian a complete piece of trash. The resentment runs deep. 3 years ago, his father took his own life. A haunting silence falls as she stares into the casket, the funeral rain hiding her tears as grief consumes her world. His father's life's work was stolen, pushing him into a spiral of despair that led to the end. The man who stole the thesis was hailed as a genius. That fraud was none other than Deculian himself. Deculian couldn't stop the fallout. After his father died, his own world collapsed. He lost his home, his title, and his future. He became a total nobody. He swore a blood oath to get his revenge. He clawed his way into the university with pure grit just to stand in front of his enemy. He knows the truth. Deculian's skill is just a stolen facade built on his father's grave. How can this monster stand so tall while wearing a stolen crown? That podium belongs to his father, not this thieving hack. He wants to tear him down right now and expose the lie to the world. But he has to play the long game. Patience is the only way to ensure Deculian falls hard. The room goes deathly quiet as the lecture begins. He reiterates his credentials as a monarch mage, one of the elite few. He breaks down the fundamentals of magic. 3 attributes and 9 types. The attributes are the very essence of raw power. Elements serve as the literal building blocks of the physical world. The types cover everything from summoning to destruction, the bread and butter of any mage. And finally, the harmony that binds it all together into a perfect whole. He realizes the material is actually surprisingly simple. Even though he's just reading a script, he's starting to grasp the theory behind the magic. Everything is clicking into place with eerie perfection. His overpowering grace is forcing every student to hang onto his every single word. Even his elitist habits feel like natural charisma rather than just plain arrogance. Maybe this version of Deculian actually has the makings of a decent teacher after all. He explains the mechanics of mana storage. Head, heart, or the inner core. Hard work is key, but talent dictates the ceiling. Classic cold, pragmatic advice. To be fair, Deculian's own talent is actually pretty mediocre. His mana capacity is a joke compared to the true monsters of this world. The irony of him preaching about talent is almost hilarious. He hits a weird part of the script. Does he really have to read this out loud? The original Deculian would have skipped this, but our guy is stuck on teleprompter duty. He opens the floor for questions, looking bored out of his mind. If you're enjoying this recap, smash that like button and subscribe for more. Thankfully, nobody speaks up until someone decides to interrupt him. A student asks about a mysterious spell found in the dorms, challenging the genius to identify the devil's work. She drops the ultimate challenge. Are you even worthy of being a professor? She demands he prove his affiliation and his true identity. Deculian shuts her down instantly, scolding her for her lack of etiquette. Savage. She's desperate, but she's definitely not backing down. He realizes that comprehension is burning through his mana like a wildfire. He's down a massive chunk of mana just from the lecture, He's in real trouble if a fight breaks out. He lets out a cold, chilling laugh that silences the room. She wanted attention, but she just got a masterclass on having better manners instead. She begs him to stay and listen. The magic tower is useless, and she needs the genius to solve the mystery of the dorm spell. The air crackles with lethal energy as she unleashes a storm of raw, green mana, commanding the power to crush anything. She demands he interpret the forbidden magic right now. His mana is dangerously low. He's running on absolute fumes. The students are stumped by a barrier spell, and she's desperate for any hint he can provide. He scoffs. A hint? He doesn't need one. He identifies it instantly as a bewitchment-type barrier. Someone was trying to set a trap. Just like that, he solves the mystery. Side quest complete. The sweet rewards are already rolling in. The university setting is definitely keeping things interesting. What an annoying little pest she is, honestly. She was hoping to catch him in a lie by showing him something impossible to solve. Instead, he turned the tables and made her look like an unmannered amateur. He was caught off guard, but his snap judgment was spot on. Bewitchment magic is incredibly complex, yet he dismantled it without breaking a sweat. She brought the spell to the door to test him, thinking it would break him. Who's the idiot now? The girl, Ephraim, is left completely speechless. News travels fast. The spell really was a barrier. She is absolutely stunned. The other students are buzzing with admiration. He stepped up where they were too scared to try. Even Ephraim can't help but wonder how he knew it was bewitchment without any parameters. She's forced to give him credit, even if it pains her to do so. He just accidentally made his reputation even better. Damn it! His lecture notes are officially solidified as high-tier knowledge. He's teaching the class the importance of knowing your enemy. How poetic. He's determined not to let this annoying professor get under his skin anymore. Just you wait, Deculion. The mask is going to slip sooner or later. Another quest checked off the list. That was way too close for comfort. His comprehension trait activated without his permission. The complexity of those lines nearly drained his entire mana pool. Even with double the mana, he wouldn't have understood the deeper principles. At least he made it out without being exposed. But then, a familiar face appears. He freezes. It's her. The white hair and light eyes, he's seen her 1,000 times on his screen. It's Julie von Deafraden. She's his fiancée and a future legend. Seeing her in person is a total curveball. She's not exactly giving him a warm, fuzzy welcome. She's still holding a grudge over a broken promise from a week ago. He has absolutely no idea what she's talking about. Whoops. Better to play dumb and avoid the impending drama. She isn't letting him off the hook that easily. Is this going to be another repeat of the past? She's blocking his path, and she looks ready for a fight. He claims he's been sick, hoping to buy some time. What was that promise? Anyway, she lays it out for him cold and hard. If he wants her, he needs to confess his arrogance and lies to everyone. She's clearly done with his games and his attitude. She lets him go, but the damage to his reputation is already done. A heavy, chilling silence descends as he locks eyes with his target. The tension is absolutely suffocating. He takes the exit before things get even more awkward. Their engagement was always just a political move, nothing more. A mage and a knight, the perfect power couple for the elites. It was a match made in political heaven, regardless of their personal feelings. Their families saw no reason to object to such a high-status union. It was all for the good of the house, even if there wasn't a spark of love. It's a shame his talent was always a complete work of fiction. He lied to the world to cover his tracks, and now he's a professor. A total fall from grace for the whiz kid. Both families desperately scrambled to keep his utter incompetence a closely guarded secret. They lived in constant fear that a single whisper of gossip would shatter their pristine reputations. Julie finally hits her breaking point. A loveless marriage she could tolerate, but a life built on lies? Absolutely not. That is the knightly code she lives by, and she refuses to compromise on her principles. And just like that, the core of their entire conflict is laid bare. He offers a vague, Empty platitude, hoping to smooth things over and keep the peace. She isn't buying his cheap act for even a second. She knows exactly what's coming. He's going to break his word, just like he always does. Another promise, another lie. She is officially done with his nonsense. The Imperial University is the ultimate destination for the elite mages of the game. Think of it as the Harvard of magic, while the Magic Tower acts as the prestigious teaching hospital. Honestly, it's a pretty sweet gig if you can get in. The campus is absolutely massive, stretching out as far as the eye can see. It's got that classic, high-end botanical garden vibe that screams, expensive tuition. He takes a moment to reflect on the grueling, sleepless nights his team spent coding this very virtual world. It would be a lot more fun if he weren't trapped in the body of a guy everyone absolutely despises. Suddenly, he spins around with lightning speed. Something has caught his attention, and he's not wasting a single millisecond. A random duck waddles into the frame. Is this a joke? I didn't know we were playing Farm Simulator today. He accidentally brushes against a passerby and tosses out a quick apology. Drowning in a sea of endless research, our hero finally hits his limit. The mountain of scrolls and notes is enough to make anyone's brain melt. He's trying to make his lecture on time, but the game world is throwing every possible distraction his way. A familiar face pops up. He recognizes the kid from earlier and wonders if it's a trap. Wait, did he just call him Zorro? The whole conversation is quickly spiraling into a total disaster of confusion. He realizes he's got the wrong guy, but the mystery of who Zorro is continues to loom over them. The professor finally arrives, and it's time to get down to business. He's here to drop the list of this year's lucky sponsorship candidates. The Magic Tower is basically a cutthroat corporate lab, where raw talent meets cold, hard capital. He narrows his eyes, scanning the list for every tiny detail. A surge of golden, crackling energy erupts from his hand, silencing the room instantly. The power dynamic is about to shift permanently. The shining gold attribute flares to life, proving that Deculian's unique trait is working exactly as intended. He gains the wealthy magnate trait. He's got an uncanny instinct for profit. He's basically a magical Wall Street shark. Along with that, he unlocks sharp eyesight, letting him spot mana nodes and hidden stats like he's running a permanent cheat code. It's the ultimate combo, wealthy magnate plus sharp eyesight. He's basically looking at the world through an Excel spreadsheet now. He tracks the golden aura, sensing that the person tied to this name is going to be his biggest cash cow yet. There are a few other names on the list, but they look like total chump change compared to the real deal. Her potential is blindingly bright. She is the golden goose he's been hunting for. Her gaze turns icy, sharp enough to draw blood. Something has truly pushed her past her limits. Oh, it's a main character from the game. And of course, she has a tragic backstory involving Deculian. Talk about an awkward office encounter. The numbers are fluctuating wildly, and the tension spikes as he analyzes her true potential. Hold on, why is Ephraim Luna's sponsorship list completely blank? The mystery deepens. Turns out everyone is petrified that Deculian will ruin their career if they support his rival. What a reputation to have. She's clearly talented, having clawed her way to the tower without any help from the academy. The irony is delicious. Deculian thinks she's his enemy, but she's actually the one gunning for his head. If he keeps following the game's original script, he's headed straight for a nullification of engagement ending. And we all know that ends with a funeral. Being murdered by Deculian is the main condition for his doom, and he's definitely opting out of that quest. Villain's fate. The whole world is programmed to kill him. But hey, what doesn't kill you makes you a stronger villain, right? A blade to the heart is just one of the many ways he's supposed to bite the dust. Between poisoned wine and a wand to the face, his calendar is packed with near-death experiences. Terrorism, explosives, backstabbing, the world is working overtime to get rid of him. If he wants to keep drawing breath, he needs to burn the script and start writing a new one immediately. It's time to make choices that would leave the original Deculian absolutely speechless. The quill dances across the parchment, sealing a fate that can never be reversed. Every stroke marks the start of a wild new chapter. He demands the paperwork and a stack of books. Time for some serious cramming before he heads home. Goodbye, Professor. The air of professionalism is almost convincing enough to fool anyone. The silence is shattered as a mysterious figure slams his hand down, seizing the room's attention. Even the shadows seem to be holding their breath. In this world, money is his ultimate shield against the game over screen. Investing in a top-tier mage isn't just charity, it's a high-stakes financial move. Still, gold alone won't keep his head on his shoulders. The world is crawling with NPCs who want him dead. He's got more haters than a viral influencer in a scandal. He needs an exit strategy, and he needs it yesterday. A piercing gaze ignites with lethal intent as the room goes dead silent. The predator has locked onto his prey. There's no turning back now. It's time to stop acting like a victim and start acting like the powerhouse he needs to be. Survival is the name of the game, and the only way to win is through pure, unadulterated strength. Deculian's base stats are embarrassingly average. He needs a massive stat boost to survive the coming disaster. The list of his future deaths is a mile long, and he's officially done checking off boxes. Luckily, he's got one major secret weapon: his custom-built attributes. Deculian can't master all 4 elements, but he's got a hidden affinity for fire and earth. Combining them unlocks the Midas Touch, a unique skill that is about to flip the board. The Midas Touch, a skill that burns his own mana to awaken the dormant, hidden potential in his targets. His metal manipulation lets him control floating blades. It's basically just fancy, magical telekinesis. He knows it's just telekinesis, but in a world of basic spells, he's going to turn metal into his own personal army. To pull this off, he needs to get back to basics. Back to the classroom it is. Time for a little real-world stress test. Surging blue mana erupts as he unleashes a wave of raw power. The very air seems to tremble under the pressure. A blinding burst of mana shatters the silence as a forbidden magic circle flares to life. The room is shaking like a leaf in a hurricane. A torrential blast of blue mana tears through the hallway with unstoppable force. Nothing can stand in his way now. A flood of telekinesis knowledge pours directly into his brain. No boring textbooks required. The grand hall is crackling with an eerie, silent tension. The atmosphere is so heavy you could suffocate. The power is surging through his veins now. There it is. The control is finally locking into place. He's mastered basic telekinesis without a single incantation. Seeing game mechanics manifest in real life is a total mind trip. The basics are a great start, but he knows they won't save him from the real threats waiting in the shadows. He's aiming for the absolute top, and low-rank parlor tricks just aren't going to satisfy his ambitions. What's the next move to push his limits? The tension reaches a breaking point as they lean in close. One wrong move and everything blows up. He uses Comprehend to scan his own biology. It's time to hack his own body. He's going to etch magic circles directly onto his core to amplify his power. This is some hardcore biohacking. If he pushes too hard, his body might literally fry, but he's got the Iron Man attribute to act as his shock absorber. Iron Man is his secret weapon, the highest level of physical durability needed to survive his own ambitions. He's the only one crazy enough to attempt this without blowing himself to smithereens. With 800 mana in the tank, he's ready for a high-octane test run. Reality shatters as he unleashes a wave of destructive energy. Everything around him gets shredded in a whirlwind of power. A surge of raw energy tears through the air. The atmosphere cracks as he pushes his limits to the breaking point. The fabric of reality tears as a catastrophic blast erupts. Space itself is buckling under the sheer weight of his power. Agonizing pain rips through his frame as he pushes his mana to the absolute limit. It feels like his bones are turning to dust and his muscles are being shredded. Talk about a bad day at the office. He doesn't even blink. A true noble keeps his cool, even when his insides feel like they're being put through a blender. A chilling discovery stops him cold. The truth hits him like a freight train. His mana is bottoming out at 1/3, 375. He's totally tapped out. This experiment was a bit of a flop. But hey, Every massive failure is just another lesson learned. He's got a magic circle etched on his shoulder now. A small, painful victory in a long war. At this rate, he'll be fully upgraded in 2 weeks. Nothing says good morning like some light body engraving. A month has passed, and it's finally time for his big seminar. The university halls are absolutely buzzing with anticipation. The students are totally confused. He just told them to figure it out on their own. Talk about being a hands-off professor. He's left them to their own devices, using only vague signs to guide their path. Confusion ripples through the crowd. Where on earth did the professor vanish to? The students are already whispering about his complete lack of responsibility. Someone just called him an asshole. Well, he's never been one for popularity contests anyway. An unexpected collision brings them to a screeching halt. The sudden impact leaves them both stunned. Caught totally off guard. She whips around with a fierce glare. Someone just crossed the line. Pure shock freezes her in place as a sudden, terrifying realization sinks in. Her eyes are wide with disbelief. Wait, who is that standing in the middle of the crowd? The Sylvia von Josephine Illade, looking as sharp as a razor. The tension snaps as their eyes lock in an unexpected standoff. A single look is all it takes to change the whole vibe. She looks totally caught off guard. Does she really not recognize him? That could be a huge problem. Deep within the ancient, sun-drenched forest, a heavy silence hangs in the air. Something dangerous is lurking in the shadows. A sudden crackle of energy breaks the quiet. He realizes she's from House Illade, a family that has a very messy, violent history with his own. 10 years ago, the Illades tried to bully his family. This definitely isn't a friendly reunion. She doesn't remember him? That's either a massive blessing or a sign of major trouble. Something feels wrong. His mana is being drained. It's being sucked into a void somewhere nearby. The ground trembles as she unleashes a cataclysmic blast of energy. With one gesture, she turns stone into dust. He confronts the situation. Who is pulling this stunt? He demands to know why she's siphoning his energy. Is she even listening to him? She's completely icing him out, and his patience is wearing thin. Wait for it. Something is about to snap. He calls her out. Why are you playing dumb, Miss Sylvia? He knows exactly who she is, and he's not letting her slide for her family's past sins. She hits back, acting like she has no idea who he is. The absolute audacity. He drops a total bombshell. He might not know her, but he certainly remembers her father. The air turns ice cold. The tension reaches a breaking point. He mentions her father's death, and the atmosphere goes nuclear. Silence falls, heavy and suffocating. A surge of emerald energy explodes as she unleashes a devastating strike. The forest trembles under her raw power. She's snapped. She is absolutely livid at his words. She dares him to repeat that. She's definitely not holding back anymore. A blinding flash of green energy tears through the air as she launches a high-stakes assault. He's locked in a shimmer barrier, bracing for the impact. Stunned and breathless, she stares in absolute shock as the situation takes a turn for the worse. Reality is crumbling before her very eyes. A deafening explosion rips through the battlefield. Chaos erupts as the shockwave flattens everything in sight. A scream pierces the air. Chaos is breaking out everywhere. What on earth just happened? She's blinded by rage, demanding he take back his insult to her father. She's charging at him with everything she's got. What is that strange light? A blinding flash of light fills the entire area. The fabric of reality tears as a cataclysmic singularity erupts overhead. Terror takes hold as the pressure forces them to their knees. It's a void, a literal tear in the space-time continuum. Their mana collided and created a massive suction vortex. If you're enjoying this recap, smash that like button and subscribe for more. This is getting completely out of hand. The situation spirals out of control as the mana instability hits a critical, explosive threshold. He screams a warning to evacuate. If that core detonates, the flying metal shards will turn into lethal shrapnel. A violent, crimson vortex of pure destruction tears through reality. obliterating everything in its path. A massive surge of energy erupts as he braces for the final impact, the air crackling with blinding intensity. Suddenly, the chaos dies down. Did the cataclysm just stop? A lethal rain of mana shards hangs suspended in the air, leaving his targets frozen in absolute terror. He steps forward, and the debris remains locked mid-air. How is that even possible? A storm of razor-sharp mana shards erupts with murderous intent, shattering the very atmosphere. The students stare in awe as he utilizes telekinesis to hold the explosion in place. The wow factor here is honestly ridiculous. Even the students can't help but admire the sheer, terrifying beauty of his display. It was high-level enchantment magic, a display of control so perfect it leaves everyone speechless. You have to give him credit. That was some top-tier flexing right there. With a thunderous crack, jagged ice erupts from the ground, claiming the battlefield with lethal precision. He shuts down the lecture with a calm, icy tone. Class dismissed, losers. He clears the room, leaving only the troublemakers behind to face the music. Damn it, I'm screwed. Well, at least he's honest about his impending doom. The interrogation room awaits, and the atmosphere is anything but welcoming. The chairwoman arrives, and the disciplinary committee looks ready to tear him to shreds. Everyone is posturing and acting all high and mighty, pretending this is about earnestness. He apologizes for the short notice, but the sarcasm is so thick you could choke on it. They're looking for a scapegoat, and their sights are firmly set on the lowly ones. They're trying to kiss up to him while judging everyone else. The hypocrisy is truly top tier. It's all just a pathetic political game, and he knows the verdict was written before he even walked in. Sylvia is the golden child, and she's got enough influence to tilt the scales. Ephraim is just a fallen noble. They're ready to throw her under the bus without blinking. He realizes he has to flip the script if he wants to survive this mess. His gaze locks onto the scarlet energy leaking from Ephraim, something only he can perceive. His sharp eyesight works overtime, catching the details everyone else is too blind to see. Villain's fate is manifesting. The more the world tries to crush him, the stronger he becomes. The disciplinary meeting is officially in session. Let the theater of lies begin. They're already attacking, acting like they're the shining heroes of the story. He tries to offer an explanation, but the deck is already stacked against them. What on earth is actually happening here? He realizes the professor is watching from the shadows, forcing him into a corner of silence. He drops the mention of her father's death, and the room temperature plummets to freezing. He's trapped. He can't defend himself against the enemies circling him in this room. They're accusing her of having an inferiority complex. Talk about some grade-A gaslighting. They hammer away at the class divide, making sure everyone knows exactly where they belong. She tries to argue her side, but they're spinning every word against her. They're painting her as the aggressor. She's being bullied by the committee and can't even fight back. They're calling for her expulsion. It's getting cold in here, and we aren't just talking about the weather. He's standing there, being scolded like a naughty schoolboy, and he can't even offer a rebuttal. He's truly on his own. Not a single person is jumping to his defense today. All roads lead back to Deculion. He's the root of all this misery. They're itching to wrap this up and hand out their pre-written verdict. They finally ask for his opinion, the final, pathetic act of this farce. He speaks as the head professor. It's showtime. He's about to flip the board upside down. He turns the tables instantly and demands an answer from Sylvia herself. He asks her point-blank if she thinks she's actually blameless in this disaster. If you're enjoying this recap, smash that like button and subscribe for more. The room erupts in shock as the students demand an explanation for the professor's sudden, bizarre behavior. The air turns icy as he calls out the committee for their failure to intervene and their lackluster performance. Their abilities, once considered legendary, are now clearly falling short of basic expectations. He calmly admits his true intentions. He stood by because he wanted to see her dragged into even deeper trouble. Absolute silence falls over the room. Did he really just admit that out loud? He wonders why the professor is grilling him instead of Sylvia, even though he knows he's the one at fault. A student jumps in, desperately trying to shield the professor, but Deucalion remains completely unbothered. The tension spikes as the student continues to defend the professor, confused by Deucalion's sudden, protective stance toward Sylvia. Is he actually defending her? The crowd is left scratching their heads in confusion. Deucalion shuts the entire conversation down with a single sharp word. He lectures them on growth, dismissing their petty debutante squabbles and demanding they move on. He declares there will be no disciplinary action, leaving the students baffled. This isn't the cold-hearted Deucalion they know. The mystery of his sudden change in character continues to deepen. The students are stunned, praising Deucalion for his extraordinary and unexpected wisdom. A moment of awkward, heavy silence hangs in the air. A cold glare meets a mysterious reflection as tension fills the air. She stands her ground, ready to face the shadow looming before her. A student steps forward with a burning question regarding the Luna family and her father. She demands to know if he remembers the man who suffered his entire life under his shadow before taking his own. The weight of the past crashes down on the room as she prepares to demand a real answer. The atmosphere is heavy enough to crush a diamond. Deucalion stares back, his expression utterly unreadable. She presses him again, desperate to know if he truly acknowledges the tragedy he caused. She fears the worst, that he'll claim ignorance just to protect his own skin. Still, she refuses to back down until she hears the truth. And what if he doesn't remember her father at all? That would be a far deeper, more painful wound than any insult. He cuts her off, his voice cold and commandingly sharp. He tells her to stop wasting her potential on the ghosts of the past. The numbers flash, flickering like a dying light in the darkness. The tension is palpable as a heavy, chilling silence descends. The storm is only just beginning. She realizes the truth, he remembers everything. If he didn't know her father, he would have had no reason to intervene at all. He felt the weight of that old responsibility. Was it pity that drove him to help her earlier? A sense of relief washes over her. At least he hasn't forgotten the past. For now, that simple acknowledgement is enough to keep her going. A system notification pings. A death variable is dismantled and store currency is added to his total. He wonders how things managed to spiral this way. He warns her not to worry about that child anymore, acknowledging the status of the Illade family. Ephraim has talent, but he notes that she has already missed her golden window of opportunity. He reflects on his first encounter with the girl. It seems utterly impossible, yet here they are. He predicts that both of them have the potential to reach the rank of Archmage. The room is stunned. Two from their fief? How is that even possible? Confusion reigns as the implications begin to sink in. He explains the pinnacle of magic, the legendary Archmages, beings beyond even the Emperor's reach. Their names are carved into history, eternal and untouchable. No matter the specialization, the rule remains absolute. He recalls the empty seats in the Magic Tower, one likely reserved for the powerful chairwoman Adeline. A fierce rivalry is born. The heir to the Illade family and Ephraim must fight for the final spot. He didn't need his father to spell it out. The path forward was already bloodstained. He realizes the Illades crushed the Lunas specifically to clear his path to greatness. It was all a calculated move to ensure he became the Archmage over Ephraim. He accepts this as his fated struggle. He taunts her, asking if she's afraid he'll leave her in the dust. She retorts that it was merely a stroke of bad luck. He warns that while Ephraim is no threat, Deucalion is a danger that cannot be ignored. He recognizes that the professor is a genius who could make a comeback at any moment. He knows exactly what the professor is capable of. Deucalion saw right through his trap. The memory of that moment flashes back. He had successfully drained Ephraim's mana. He'd rigged a trap to explode the moment she touched it. The bigger the disaster, the more she would have suffered. Yet, Deucalion dismantled his scheme in an instant. He had even checked for magical surveillance beforehand. Despite the evidence, the professor forced a compromise instead of exposing him. It was a silent threat, a forced alliance he had no choice but to accept. He had underestimated the man, thinking him merely arrogant. Just what kind of monster is Deculion really? Tension surges as she grips her skirt, trembling with sheer, bottled-up intensity. The pressure is mounting, and she's barely holding it together. A few days later, the calm before the storm settles over the grand estate. The stage is set for a monumental confrontation. A voice calls out, signaling that it's time to move. The luxury limousine roars past, leaving nothing but a cloud of anticipation in its wake. A high-stakes arrival has just begun. Supporting Ephraim was the right move. Another death variable gone and more currency in the bank. He never expected the debutante to be Ephraim. She was clearly hostile, but he played his cards right. Sylvia might hold a grudge, but he had to extinguish the fire before it burned him. Social events are a headache, but they are a necessary evil. He can't afford to miss out on any chance to grow his power. A new side quest pops up. Attend the Flower of the New Year event. He needs 5 currency to unlock the shop, so it's time to go hunting for named characters. A sleek luxury car screeches to a halt at the gates of the opulent estate. The stage is set for a grand arrival. The guests offer their greetings, fawning over the professor like mindless drones. The ballroom is buzzing with tension as the elite gather for a night of secrets. All eyes are on the mysterious figure navigating this social storm. The room is crawling with high-ranking nobles and familiar, smug faces. He spots a target of interest in the crowd. He eyes Helm, a character he modeled his own path after. Coming here was definitely the right play for his goals. A familiar face approaches with a fake, toothy grin. He tries to rope the professor into talking about his son. Others scramble to introduce themselves, tripping over their own desperate words. Someone tries to impress him by mentioning his journal articles. Invitations for dinner are thrown around like cheap confetti at a wedding. He hears the name Ganesha and realizes she's the key to his next objective. He scans the crowd, looking for his target. He has to secure this connection if he wants to survive the coming arc. The legendary adventurer, Ganesha, is somewhere in this sea of idiots. She's a crucial piece of the early story. Where could she possibly be hiding in this mess? A cold, calculating gaze looms from above, tracking the unsuspecting crowd. The mastermind is watching, and he's ready to strike. He knows she is nearby. He can feel her presence vibrating in the air. Sudden movement catches his eye. He snaps his head around, sensing a shift in the atmosphere. There she is, right in his crosshairs. The tension spikes as he locks eyes with the mysterious figure. It's a silent, high-stakes staring contest. The woman with the signature red pigtails has finally been spotted. He moves to intercept her, but someone else cuts him off. Ugh, of all the people to run into, Helm. Could this day get any worse? Helm stands there, looking as arrogant as his ridiculous list of titles. With a fake, oily smile, Helm pokes fun at his stagnant research. He's clearly digging for a reaction, fishing for rumors about a dying career. These two go all the way back to university. Once best buds, now just petty rivals fueled by bitter jealousy. Deculion doesn't even flinch. Frankly, the insults are pretty accurate. The awkwardness is so thick you could carve it into a statue. A quick glance reveals Ganesha has vanished into the crowd. His window of opportunity is closing, and this social parasite is blocking the way. His patience officially hits 0. He drops the act and tells Helm exactly where he can shove his opinions. Helm is left speechless while Deculion pivots to hunt down Ganesha. The master plan is starting to fray at the edges. He scans the room like a hawk, desperate to find the professor. Between the leeches and the rivals, he's about 2 seconds away from hating all humanity. He calls out, hoping to snag her attention in the chaos. Ganesha stands there, looking completely unimpressed by his presence. She wonders if he's stalking her or if he just stumbled into her path. He tries to figure out their history. This is getting way too complicated. She calls his bluff, knowing he's definitely hunting for something. She tries to bury the hatchet, apologizing for the previous mission disaster. She admits she kept the talented child instead of handing them over. She's just too attached to let the kid go. Everything clicks. The old Deculian was just using a child to mask his own failures. He fires a single, razor-sharp question at her. He demands to know how long she plans to keep living such a pathetic life. The room feels like a pressure cooker. His cold, piercing gaze demands the truth. Possession really changes a man's perspective on life. The previous owner was a total fool, addicted to empty praise. He burned every single bridge he ever crossed. He traded his soul and humanity just for a fleeting taste of fame. But that era is officially over. He's carving out a brand new path, whether people like it or not. She's stunned. She honestly expected him to order her execution right then and there. She confesses she broke the rules, terrified of his legendary wrath. He realizes she's a dangerous threat that can't be underestimated. Ganesha is a powerhouse. She could end him with one flick of her wrist. As a master of all martial arts, she's basically a walking weapon. If he'd sent an assassin, he'd already be a corpse on the floor. She's confused by his sudden shift in tone, but he's already checked his socializing box. He turns and leaves, leaving her absolutely bewildered. She wonders if he's actually going to let her off the hook that easily. Talk about an unpredictable, classless weirdo. A single, piercing glance from over his shoulder freezes the room in place. The tension is absolutely suffocating. She freezes, eyes wide with sudden, silent shock. The realization hits her like a truck. He could have used the guild to ruin her, but that would just complicate his life with more variables. System update. The death variable has been successfully avoided. He realizes that even a casual chat could have been his last. There really is no safe ground for him in this world. He overhears someone whining about how much longer they have to stay. He couldn't agree more. He didn't want to be here to begin with. She's still standing there, stunned into complete and total silence. What could have possibly shaken her up this much? The gossip mill shifts gears to focus on the professor. Everyone is whispering, terrified by the endless rumors surrounding him. He turns his back, leaving the night shattered and trembling in his wake. One cold departure, one ruined world. The verdict is in things are looking grim. Someone tries to hush the crowd, but the rumor is already spreading like wildfire. A chilling realization hits her. Her eyes widen as the truth strikes like a bolt of lightning. Murmurs ripple through the hall. The legendary Deculian has arrived. With a sharp turn, he catches something unexpected. The whole mood shifts in an instant. Everyone is floored. The man who loves the limelight is actually leaving early. He doesn't even spare his fiancée a glance on his way out. That's a cold shoulder of glacial proportions. The rumor mill explodes, convinced the engagement is finally dead. His early exit becomes the talk of the town, fueling the fire of their supposed rift. Little do they know, Kim Woo-jin is just playing a role and is completely oblivious to the drama. The grand doors swing open, and a legendary figure steps into the spotlight. A new chapter of power begins. Quest complete. A tiny boost to his store currency brings him to 4.5. Every penny counts in this grind. A full week has passed since that chaotic social event. Between spell memorization and telekinesis, he realized his stamina was absolute trash, so gym time. Let's be honest, he almost kicked the bucket a few days ago by overdoing it. That near-death experience was a massive, terrifying wake-up call. A brutal strike leaves him coughing up blood in the shadows. He's left defenseless and broken. He's engraving fire control with his telekinesis, praying the Iron Man attribute keeps his body from shattering. The plan is to shove a magic core into his telekinesis skill to force it to grow. It's a high-risk gamble that is putting a serious strain on his physical form. He needs a much tougher body if he wants to survive this madness. Enter the brand new, soul-crushing morning routine. Nothing starts the day quite like intense, painful magical conditioning. Time to clock into the office. The grind never ends. A mysterious, ominous letter from the Magic Tower committee waits on his desk. It's an official summons, and it smells like major trouble. The Magic Tower Qualification Committee is breathing right down his neck. An audit is scheduled in 6 months. If he doesn't have results, he's finished. This is a total disaster. The original Deculian was a slacker, and now Wu Jin has to pay the price. The game version of Deculian was always a complete, unmitigated mess. His stats are okay, but that grade 6 talent is a massive anchor around his neck. Keeping the professor title is a core requirement for his survival quests. If he loses this job, he loses his only ticket back home. A heavy, deliberate step hits the floor. The tension spikes as a mysterious figure makes their entrance. He needs to tear this office apart and find something to save his reputation. The ultimate scavenger hunt begins now. What a total disaster zone. This office is a monument to the original Deculian's laziness. It's obvious that nobody has cleaned this place in years. Wait, what exactly is that? A pile of junk looks suspicious. It's clearly hiding something important. Someone tried to sabotage him, but they really picked a terrible hiding spot. Thank goodness he leveled up his telekinetic manipulation. It's time to clear the clutter and reveal the truth. The research is encrypted to keep thieves out, but it's no match for his skills. Encryption is absolutely useless against his comprehension ability. A sudden shock ripples through their eyes as reality shifts. Something impossible just happened. A blinding surge of raw power erupts as he unleashes a devastating strike. The battlefield trembles under his might. A blinding golden light erupts. The research hidden here is top-tier stuff. It's messy and incomplete, but the fundamental logic is brilliant. His wealthy magnate skill pings, confirming the immense value of his find. Ah, so this is the lost work of Ephraim Luna's father. It's obvious now. Ephraim's father was hiding this work before he met his end. The grudge the Luna family holds is completely justified given Deculian's toxic past. Ephraim has been trapped in the shadow of this tragedy for way too long. Time for a change of heart, or at the very least, a shift in strategy. He decides to finish the paper and, shockingly, adds Ephraim's name as a co-author. Giving credit where it's due, a rare move for a guy like him. Of course, he's no saint. He needs the academic clout for himself, too. The commoners huddle in the cafe, trying to plan their next move. With only 30 commoners in the class, they're feeling the heat. They need to stick together or the nobles are going to steamroll them. Ephraim looks hesitant. She's struggling with her identity as a fallen noble. She's technically a noble, but she's got absolutely nothing to show for it. She feels like a total fraud, living without status or land. Her friends are desperately pushing her to lead the charge. The irony is rich. They think she's their commoner hero, but she's just as lost as they are. They need a professor's signature to form a club, but no one wants to touch them. It's the biggest hurdle they've faced so far. What about Professor Reelan? He's a total suck-up. And don't even get them started on Professor Carmel. And Deculian? Well, he's usually the absolute last resort. They're so broke they're literally staring at food they can't afford. In a moment of pure desperation, they decide to ask the man himself. Poor Ephraim is being shoved into the lion's den. Someone points out that he's actually fair. He hates everyone equally. They argue that she's caught his eye. Ephraim is having absolutely none of it. She really doesn't want to get involved with him. She tries to bolt, but her friends are relentless. Suddenly, a dark shadow looms over them. Just who could it be? The tension hits a breaking point as she commands them to move. With a lethal glare, she's not taking no for an answer. It's Deculian himself, standing right behind them. The sheer panic in the air is palpable. Talk about being in the wrong place at the worst possible time. Julia gives her a snarky good luck as the others flee. She's officially been abandoned. Ephraim is left to face the music all by herself. She stammers, desperately trying to find a shred of courage. She blurts out the request for the club signature, bracing for the worst. She desperately explains that they aren't trying to cause any trouble. Deculian listens, his expression completely unreadable as he stares her down. She holds her breath, praying he doesn't turn them into dust on the spot. To everyone's absolute shock, he tells her to send the details to his office. She takes the papers, her hands trembling with total disbelief. He actually signed it? Did he hit his head, or is this the real world? The group is left speechless. The villain is actually acting like a decent human being for once. Ephraim is just as confused as everyone else. Why is he being so nice? Is it guilt? Or is there something even more sinister going on under that cold exterior? Lecture time. Today's topic is the complex nature of pure elements. He starts breaking down the deep differences between theoretical and practical magic. The students are hanging on every single word he says. Ephraim is still struggling. Can she really trust the man who destroyed her father? She wants him to repent, but this sudden kindness just feels like a twisted game. Deculion notices her distraction and checks in on her immediately. He shuts down the other students gossiping, telling her to focus on the magic instead. The other students are totally baffled by his sudden, strange interest in her. Being the commoner hero is making her a prime target for every snobby noble in the room. She tries to ignore the nasty whispers and focus on the lesson at hand. He explains that every stroke in a magic circle holds a specific, vital logic. The students realize this lecture is completely different from his usual arrogant rants. He demonstrates how adding 2 simple strokes can change the color of a flame. It's a masterclass in elemental theory that leaves everyone stunned. The class is completely mesmerized as the magic comes to life before their eyes. Gone are the days of him just bragging. He's actually teaching now, and the students can't believe it. Even the genius Sylvia is forced to pay close attention. Her heart is racing out of control as a sudden, overwhelming blush takes over. Something or someone has completely caught her off guard. He shows them how to summon water with absolute precision. Then he layers a fire circle right on top of it. The combination is nothing short of revolutionary for these students. Chaos erupts as a sudden, massive inferno tears through the hall. Total shock freezes the room as the flames surge toward them. The fire flows like water. It's a visual spectacle that defies the laws of nature. The students can't believe their eyes. They've never seen such control. They never knew he possessed this kind of deep theoretical knowledge. Most mages rely on raw intuition, but Deculion is finally teaching them the why. He warns them that relying on intuition alone creates a mold that limits their growth. He knows that if they obsess only over theory, they'll never have time to practice. It's a delicate balance, and he's teaching them how to walk that fine line. To be an elite, you need intuition, but you need the theory to back it up. Most geniuses can't explain their own power, but he can explain it perfectly. For a man whose reputation is currently in the gutter, this lecture is a total game changer. The students are left reeling. This isn't the Deculion they heard about. They've never been so engaged in a lecture in their entire lives. Back at the dorms, the drama continues to escalate. The bullying hasn't stopped, and the pranks are getting nastier by the day. Ever since the Sylvia incident, they've been absolutely relentless. A sponsorship certificate arrives. Is this just another cruel prank? She's sure it's fake. After all, who would sponsor a hated commoner like her? If she reports the fake, she might actually get a reward for catching the prankster. She marches to the administration office, ready to expose the fraud. A sudden click echoes through the silence as the door swings open. What secrets await behind this threshold? To her absolute horror, the staff confirms it's 100% real. She's totally stunned. How could this possibly be legitimate? A dazzling, bashful smile lights up the screen as he's swept away by pure, heart-fluttering bliss. His cheeks flush with excitement, turning this floral garden into his own personal paradise. She nearly faints from the sheer shock of it all. She scrambles to make sure no one saw her freak out in public. 100,000 elm. She's rich, and now she's terrified of being robbed. That staff member definitely looked at her suspiciously. Or maybe she's just paranoid. She should have just stayed home instead of investigating this mess. She trips over her own feet in a clumsy panic. But amidst the chaos, a massive realization dawns on her. Things are finally, truly changing for her. Someone out there actually noticed her hidden potential. The world might not be as cruel as she thought. If you're enjoying this recap, smash that like button and subscribe for more. Back at the manor, the tension is sky high. People are questioning if the rumors about Deculion are actually true. He's headed to the Chancenjewel auction, and everyone is terrified of what he'll do. He dropped 10 million last year. What kind of chaos is he planning to unleash this time? They're bracing themselves for the inevitable disaster. The auction house is bustling with the elite of the city. He's here for one thing and one thing only. It's time to find the missing piece of his power. He's been using basic metals to patch his telekinesis, but it's just not enough. This wood-steel hybrid he's using is just a temporary fix for his lack of real talent. Today he's going to get the real deal no matter the cost. The air freezes as an unexpected visitor makes a sudden, shocking appearance. Everything stops in this tense standoff. Wait, what just happened? Things are taking an unexpected turn for the worse. A sharp turn, a piercing gaze. The knight senses danger lurking in the shadows. The air turns ice cold as a sudden, shocking confrontation leaves her reeling. One look is all it takes to knock the breath right out of her. A voice mocks the target, wondering how they have been holding up lately. They coldly mention that 2 young mages were sent to the disciplinary committee. The air in the room turns ice cold as the confrontation heats up. Deculion brushes it off, asking if they intend to pin that failure on him as well. He is lectured on crushing the dreams of rookies, with a stern warning that his past sins will eventually come back to haunt him. The atmosphere is suffocating as the lecture continues. Deculion offers a final piece of advice to his accuser. It is quite literally his last advice. She intends to sever the tie between them once and for all. The long-standing relationship between her and Deculion is reaching its breaking point. Deculion thinks this is for the best, having zero interest in a marriage that feels fickle and pointless. He knows she is a death variable herself. One wrong move and he's a dead man on his own wedding day. Talk about a high-stakes relationship. A chilling silence falls as they lock eyes with cold, calculated precision. The tension is absolutely suffocating. The auction house is buzzing with nervous tension. He wonders why Julie, of all people, is at an auction. She's not the type. He confronts her, only to be met with a sudden, fiery outburst. Julie snaps, claiming she's just here for items and definitely not to see him. Someone woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. Deculion keeps his cool, telling her that hearing it once is enough. He finds her flustered state strangely cute. She definitely started this misunderstanding herself. The tension between these two is thicker than a plot armor plate. He stops to wonder why his heart is acting up. He knows how dangerous she is. He panics, fearing his own personality is being corrupted by the original Deculion's lingering emotions. An announcement rings out through the Chancenjewel. The main event is finally kicking off. He tries to convince himself his racing heart has nothing to do with her. Yeah, he's just overthinking things. Definitely. The crowd is ready to spend some serious cash. The first item is unveiled. A beautiful vase from the Far East. Deculion notices a strange light coming from the item, linked to the wealthy magnate trait. The value is spiking. The bidding war explodes as prices skyrocket into the millions. Guest 1413 jumps in, pushing the price even higher. Guest 777 swoops in and snatches it up for a cool 2.5 million. Sold. The vase's light remains intense, signaling its worth far more than the final bid. Deculion decides to invest his remaining 205 million. It's a total shopping spree as guest 777 grabs a ring, scissors, and a necklace in rapid succession. The crowd is stunned as guest 777 buys literally everything. Is that Professor Deculion? Deculion scoffs at the man's vanity, calling him a pathetic attention seeker. He prides himself on his own humility compared to this show-off. Let's just ignore the guy, shall we? He only has one goal, obtaining Winter's Fire. The final item is presented. A legendary or used to forge the finest blades in history. It's the magical wonder known as Winter's Fire. Behold, the snowflake stone. The bidding hits 30 million and shows no signs of slowing down. The auctioneer prepares to close, but Deculion is ready to strike. Guest 777 enters the fray with a massive, game-winning bid. People are starting to notice the name 777 appearing everywhere today. He wonders why this guy is acting so brazenly. Wait, is that Deculion? The bids climb to 32 million as the rivalry heats up. Guest 777 hits 33 million. Everyone assumes it's a romantic gift for his fiancée. Some think if he loved her, he'd just let her buy it. Oh, the drama! A realization hits him. Was he actually competing against Julie this whole time? He knows she wants it, and winning it might make her hold a grudge. But he needs it too. This item hasn't appeared in 3 years. He can't pass this up. It's a huge risk, but for his goal, he's going all in. The tension in the auction hall is absolutely palpable. The final call is made at 42 million elm. The winner is officially guest 777. The crowd is buzzing. This is the most competitive auction they've ever seen. They praise Deculion for his supposed romantic gesture toward his fiancée. He's already seen everything he wanted to see. History seems to be repeating itself from last year. He never wanted any of this public display. He recalls how he once tried to win her over with wealth, making their engagement day a nightmare. It looked like he was just bragging about his own greatness back then. Surrounded by riches, all she felt was deep humiliation. She knows exactly what he's after, and it's definitely not love. The resentment lingers in the air. She eventually walked away, ruining the engagement herself. But that wasn't the end of the story, not by a long shot. Rumors are flying that she traded her integrity for a captain's chair, or so the gossip goes. She knows exactly who is behind the smear campaign destroying her name. Deculion. She scoffs at his pathetic attempt to win her favor with such a cheap, transparent stunt. No matter the situation, he is simply not a man she could ever bring herself to love. He's still pulling the same old, tired tricks. Does he ever learn? Her eyes lock onto him. It's him. It's Deculion. With a cool expression, he asks if she was also hunting for the rare snowflake stone. She snaps back, demanding to know how long he plans to keep up these insults. He looks her dead in the eye and utters a single, unexpected word. I'm sorry. The world stops. She is left completely stunned, unable to process the apology. Without another word, he turns his back and begins to walk away. Struck by sudden shock, her eyes widen in sheer disbelief. The silence is deafening as the truth finally hits home. Her mind is a whirlwind. The Deculion she knows never apologizes. What kind of game is he playing? She attempts to call out for Julie, but the momentum of the encounter has already shifted. Josephine, Julie's sister, makes her grand, dramatic entrance onto the stage. The sisters exchange a look so tense it could spark a wildfire. Deculion assumes Julie is fuming over the stone, but he's just relieved the death variable didn't trigger. He wonders just how much of a nightmare the original Deculion was to deserve a death sentence. He returns home to a chilling, icy welcome. A sudden realization strikes. Her eyes widen as the truth hits home. He brushes off the cold atmosphere and asks if anything happened while he was away. Uriel is home, and she looks like a powder keg ready to blow. The family dynamic is about to hit an all-time low. She demands the truth. Did he touch the funds meant for the mines? He realizes he's been neglecting the books, but claims he made a highly profitable investment. She is absolutely livid, her anger radiating through the room. She treats him like absolute human garbage, and honestly, with his track record, who can blame her? She asks if her only role in life is to clean up the mountains of disasters he leaves behind. They are drowning in financial woes, and he just blew a fortune. She calls him out for being a total piece of work. Gambling with the estate's survival is the final straw for her. The villain's fate system activates. Danger is officially in the air. Simultaneously, the wealthy magnate aura flares up in a blinding golden light. It's a simple, brutal equation. Succeed and get rich, or fail and face the end. He knows the drill. He tells Uriel to keep her cool, he's got this. She screams that she isn't worried. She's furious. She's traded her youth and social life to fix his mess. She berates him for squandering the family inheritance since their parents passed. He drops a massive bombshell. He's handing her the position of household head. She is caught completely off guard. Her world tilted on its axis by his declaration. Total panic mode activated. Our heroine is absolutely losing her mind in a blushing, high-stakes meltdown. The tension hits an absolute breaking point. It's a move that defies all noble tradition, but he's as serious as a heart attack. She assumes he's lying, but he holds his ground. He offers the mage's oath, a vow that literally kills you if you break it. She is shocked. None of this makes any sense. What is behind this sudden personality flip? He tells her she doesn't have to believe him, but the offer stands. She threatens to end him right then and there if he dares to break his word. She storms off to start cleaning up his wreckage. If you're enjoying this recap, smash that like button and subscribe for more. Villain's fate is cleared, and he cashes in the reward. The storm has passed, and he feels surprisingly light after dumping the title. By altering the timeline one step at a time, he's making moves. He's slowly carving out an escape route while Uriel remains stunned by his sudden shift in character. Ganesha appears out of the blue, clearly looking for answers. She claims it's just a casual drop-by, but she definitely saw something she shouldn't have. He asks if there's a reason for her to look so rattled. He drops the name Uriel von Grahan-Ukline. She reveals the truth. Uriel doesn't have a drop of Ukline blood in her veins. He is completely caught off guard by this revelation. This was never part of the original game's script. The reality sinks in. They aren't siblings by blood at all. He knew she was a half-sister, but this is a whole new level of twist. This information is completely new. The lore is shifting under his feet. She asks if he's okay with it, noting that he was the one who ordered the investigation. It seems there was a massive backstory he was completely unaware of. To him, Uriel is still Uriel regardless of the bloodline. He admits he's caught off guard, but he's ready to roll with the punches. She gives him a nod, agreeing to keep the secret buried. Before she vanishes, she leaves him with one final, grim warning. The 6 snakeheads are officially on the move. These are the most dangerous, ruthless criminal leaders on the entire continent. They're hunting the auction items. He needs to keep his guard up. She notes he's been neglecting his magical defenses, which is exactly how she slipped in unnoticed. The danger is escalating rapidly. He sighs, absolutely exhausted by this incoming wave of information. Knowing this doesn't change his mission, but it's a headache he really didn't need today. He reminds himself he isn't the real Deculian, but his feelings for Uriel remain the same. Uriel will always be his sister, no matter what the records say. The air turns icy as he locks eyes with his prey, a chilling gaze that spells absolute doom. The truth stays locked away in the shadows. Gossip spreads like wildfire that Deculian has changed so much he's basically a different person. People are starting to find his new demeanor surprisingly charming. They bicker over his looks, proving that even a villain can build a fan club. They wonder if there's actually a human heart beating inside the cold professor. They decide to back off and stop monitoring him for now. They considered checking if he was still looking for a magic slave, but he doesn't seem like the type anymore. They pack up their surveillance and call it a day. The professor drops a bombshell, warning that today's intel is strictly confidential and must never be spoken of again. The party links hands as a brilliant surge of mana erupts, shielding them from the encroaching danger. This desperate bond is their only lifeline against the storm. A blinding arc of pure energy tears through the darkness. The forest trembles as the devastating strike obliterates everything in its path. The scene shifts to the imposing University Magic Tower the very next day. A new system window pops up. The Level 1 system store is live. It offers a mana quality upgrade for a measly 10-1. What a bargain! He finally has access to the shop, but his wallet is empty. He's broke when it matters most. The mysterious system store interface glows with potential. The system lays down the law: use store currency to power up. Time to start the grind. Shop opportunities are rare. He can't afford to waste them on junk. A mysterious blue artifact ignites, pulsating with raw, untold power. He stares into the shimmering void, ready to unravel its secrets. Access levels are locked tight at LV1, LV3, and LV6. Every level up doubles the cost. The grind is about to get twice as painful. He knows he can't afford to rush or squander this golden opportunity. He's been pushing himself to the limit with drills and telekinesis, but he still feels like a weakling compared to the heavy hitters, especially when compared to those infamous, overpowered named villains waiting in the wings. He sets his target. Mana quality improvement is the priority. Now, he just needs to scrounge up those 4 missing currency points. A sharp knock at the door. His assistant enters with an urgent look. "Professor, look at this. I just received this report." He warns the professor to be careful. This is making headlines in the Wizard Journal. The headline is chilling. Wanted. The Wizard Killer, Lockhart. A major boss has finally entered the chat. He recognizes the name instantly. Lockhart is the ultimate threat in the game's first act. The Predator has arrived. A normal mage would be shaking in their boots, but he isn't even breaking a sweat. He's built different. Instead of running, he sees a golden opportunity for profit. He's actually hoping for a confrontation. He dismisses the danger, ordering his assistant back to work while he heads to the library. The assistant scurries off in a panic. Wait, he almost forgot one crucial thing. He drops a curveball. "Alan, have you ever considered becoming an assistant professor?" The assistant is stunned into total silence. A chilling discovery looms over the horizon. The massive spire stands as a silent witness to an earth-shattering revelation. Alan can't believe his ears. He thought he was talentless, but the professor claims he's noticed his hard work. He cuts off the questions, handing Alan a bangle marked with the Eucline emblem. "Keep working hard," he commands. Alan is overwhelmed with gratitude. It's not every day the boss shows a human side. He knows Alan's administrative skills are top tier. He isn't letting this useful piece of furniture escape. Many have fled Deculian's cruelty, but Alan stayed. He's a rare find, and he's staying right here. He tosses some extra cash at Alan for a nice dinner. Alan is absolutely floored. "Professor, this is too much," he stammers, completely unprepared for this level of generosity. The tension rises with every heavy, rhythmic footstep echoing through the grand hall. He marches forward, his cold gaze fixed on a path of inevitable confrontation. The atmosphere is tense as he prepares to dive back into his research. He steps into the restricted staff-only library. He's here for one goal: to fix the errors in Luna's research paper. The paper was full of holes regarding pure elements, and he's going to patch them up. If he can find some high-level grimoires on mana manipulation, that's just a bonus. The tension spikes as he catches an unexpected presence. His sharp gaze cutting through the room. Something just grabbed his attention. Suddenly, a voice cuts through the silence. "Why are you inside the staff-only library?" It's the debutante Sylvia, looking as sharp and observant as ever. He sighs, clearly annoyed by the interruption. The clock is ticking, and the tension is rising. The librarian explains that Sylvia is just looking for books, despite this area being executive only. He waves it off with a smirk. Let her stay. She's the rookie mage of the year. She's earned it. The librarian bows, and he tells Sylvia to browse to her heart's content. Sylvia has a secret passion for rare literature, which is why she risked sneaking in here. She's hunting for a rare novel written in Ethanol, a language almost lost to time. This was meant to be a stealth mission, but fate had other plans. She reaches out, her golden eyes locking onto a hidden secret. The tension spikes as she makes her move. She certainly didn't expect to run into Deculian in her secret hideaway. He narrows his eyes, questioning why she's really here. She bristles, wondering if he's going to report her. Why is he here anyway? He never visits. He casually claims he has permission from Professor Reelan. smooth as silk. Sylvia is fuming. If he's here without following rules, he should be punished too. He turns the tables on her, causing her to stutter and lose her cool. A mysterious, glowing tome is slammed into their grasp. The legendary artifact has finally been unearthed. He mocks her. An ethanol romance novel? Is that what you're breaking the rules for? She's shocked he can read the language. She tries to defend her academic interest, but she's clearly flustered. He decides to let her off the hook, for now. He warns her, "Do it again without permission, and you'll face the consequences. Don't think your family name protects you. Next time, send someone else to do your errands," he adds coldly before turning away. The library falls silent as footsteps echo through the halls, signaling a tension you could cut with a knife. A fateful encounter is about to unfold. Sylvia watches him walk away, absolutely seething with humiliation. All she wanted was a simple cultural exchange, but now she's just annoyed, embarrassed, and frankly, done with this day. She can't stop obsessing over it. Just how on earth does Deculian know ethanol? The text is notoriously inconsistent and practically unreadable, yet he breezed through it like he was reading a picture book. Meanwhile, the students are having a total meltdown over their practical training, screaming at each other to keep the mana on the leaf. It's their first real trial, and despite the mountain of darkness being a literal death trap, they're somehow holding their own. Even Deculian feels a rare flicker of pride. The ominous mountain of darkness looms on the horizon, looking about as friendly as a shark with a toothache. This isn't your average forest. It's a high-security, high-danger playground for the Magic Tower's elite, with venomous beasts lurking behind every tree. Let's just say the mortality rate is optimistic. A colleague runs up, panicking because they completely forgot to assign a professor for the week. Deculian steps up, looking as bored as ever. "I'll do it," he says, because why not? The staff is fawning over his supposed nobility, but he's really just here for the side quest XP. He's definitely not doing this for the charity. Side quest. The darkness of the Magic Tower. The notification pings. Time to get to work. He feels a strange pull from the mountain. The system never gives out quests for free, and he knows something is brewing. He barks an order for everyone to pack up, warning them that this place turns into a literal horror movie once the sun goes down. 9 hours later, the scene shifts to a cozy, warm cafe tucked away near the tower. They're staring at the display case like they've never seen sugar before. The desserts look almost too pretty to eat. The food looks so good it's practically a crime. Ephraim is playing the big spender, treating everyone to a feast thanks to her massive 100,000 elm windfall. She's feeling generous, and the group is ready to party like they didn't just survive a death forest. She's already submitted her club proposal and is just waiting for the green light. Now she just needs some actual members. They're convinced that once the club gets off the ground, recruits will be lining up around the block. They chat about the training session earlier, wondering if the 50 volunteers were brave or just completely insane. A sudden, chilling presence stops their hearts cold. Terror takes hold as the group realizes they aren't alone in the dark. A desperate scream pierces the night air. "Help me! Over there!" The group freezes, wide-eyed and paralyzed by alarm. "Please help! Someone!" The voice cries out again. Panic overrides common sense as they rush headlong toward the source of the plea. Ephraim suddenly stops, a sinking feeling in her gut telling her something is horribly, horribly wrong. The tension spikes as a single, heavy, deliberate step echoes through the darkness. The hunt has officially begun. The air turns thick and oppressive. The reality of the situation hits them like a freight train. Everything is completely disorienting. One moment they're in a cafe, the next they're lost in a nightmare. The realization dawns on them. The cry for help was a trap, and they walked right into the middle of it. "Where are you?" "I'm coming," Ephraim yells into the void, trying to play the hero. She reaches the dark figure, desperately hoping to offer aid. A brutal, shadow-infused strike rips through the air. Shock turns to agony as their life hangs by a thread. A blood-curdling, Inhuman screech erupts from the figure. That's definitely not a person. They are being hunted by something truly monstrous. Frozen in pure disbelief, she stares into the abyss of an unexpected nightmare. The shock hits her like a lightning bolt. The ground trembles as a heavy, deliberate step signals an unstoppable arrival. The pressure is absolutely suffocating. A familiar, cold silhouette emerges from the shadows. It's Deculion. Ephraim is horrified, convinced he's just attacked an innocent civilian. He snaps back instantly. Open your eyes. That's not a person. A monstrous beast lunges from the dark with lethal intent, its razor-sharp claws ready to shred everything in sight. It's a demon using illusions to lure in prey. Classic monster move. These things really need to get more creative. The realization hits the students with the force of a physical blow. He orders them to scram immediately before they get themselves turned into monster chow. The demon lets out a screech of pure, unadulterated malice. The beast lunges again, starving for blood. He unsheathes his power with a cold glint in his eye. It's time to hunt. The demon is furious. Its snack just decided to fight back. A flurry of razor-sharp energy slashes tears through the darkness. The battlefield erupts as the demon is overwhelmed by a blinding assault. A terrifying creature erupts from the rift, shattering the silence with a deafening roar. The protagonist stands tall as the nightmare lunges straight for him. A monstrous beast descends with lethal intent. Our hero is caught in the middle of a brutal, earth-shattering strike. The battle is about to get very, very messy. He stares down the demon, completely unfazed by its pathetic mental attacks. His resolve is made of solid steel. His blood is boiling, and he's ready to put this thing down for good. The Eucline lineage kicks in, flooding his senses with a cold, focused, lethal rage. Attribute: Eucline, a legendary bloodline designed for one purpose: purging demons. The legacy of demon hunters flows through his veins. That monster never stood a chance. Pure, unadulterated rage ignites behind his eyes. The limit has been shattered, and there's no turning back now. He channels his fury into a wave of raw, destructive power. The beast lunges from the shadows with lethal intent, but death is closing in on it instead. Side quest complete. The system confirms his dominance, and the rewards start piling up. You filthy creature, he sneers, finishing the job with ruthless, cold efficiency. The demon's death is only the prologue to a much larger, darker nightmare. Under the cold glow of the full moon, he stands triumphant over a fallen titan. The carnage is absolute, and the battlefield falls into a haunting silence. The game without the player has officially begun. The grand palace looms under a shimmering sky, harboring dark secrets within its walls. A new, dangerous chapter of destiny starts here. A sudden chill runs down her spine as she freezes in place. The tension is absolutely suffocating. Luna wakes up in a cold sweat, completely disoriented and confused. She can't remember a thing. The memory of the woods is a total blank. They explain the truth. A demon attacked, and she was caught in its mind-bending illusion. The mountain is on lockdown, and the tower is in full investigative mode. When she hears Deculion saved her, her first reaction is a classic, "Damn it, why him?" She's desperate to know exactly how much time she's lost to this nightmare. 36 hours. She's been out for a long, long time. If today is Wednesday, then that means, oh no, I'm late. She scrambles to move, panic setting in. The air turns ice cold as a sudden sound shatters their composure. They turn in perfect unison, eyes locked on an unexpected threat. She barely makes it to class, panting and exhausted. She finds her friends, who are visibly relieved to see she's finally awake. She claims she's in the best condition ever. But let's be real. She's still half asleep and running on fumes. Everyone is whispering about the strange vibe in the classroom. What on earth is going on today? The tension is palpable as they make their quiet exit, box in hand. No turning back now. The departure has officially begun. Who is that standing next to the professor? The professor introduces Alan, his new teaching assistant. The room goes dead silent. Everyone is shocked. Deucalion having an assistant? That's completely unheard of. They're scrambling to figure out his angle. Deucalion isn't exactly known for his generous networking skills. It's a massive opportunity, the kind their parents would kill for. Why is he suddenly playing nice with a nobody? He sets the task. Solve the problem in 3 hours. The race is on. She stares at her father's bracelet. The only thing she has left is her anchor in this storm. What was her father's connection to Deucalion? Why did he never give him a fair chance? And why, suddenly, is he doing things that actually benefit others? She forces herself to focus, but her brain is a chaotic mess of unanswered questions. 25 minutes. Someone announces. Sylvia is already finished. 30 minutes haven't even passed yet. Typical Sylvia, showing everyone up as usual. He looks over the work, his expression completely unreadable. Perfect. You may leave. Sylvia exits, cool as a cucumber. The tension hits a breaking point as they lock eyes in a silent, heart-stopping standoff. What earth-shattering revelation is about to drop? A surge of arcane power erupts as she awakens the latent magic within the flowers. The atmosphere crackles with energy as the mysterious ritual begins. The tension spikes as she catches a classmate's failed magical experiment in the act. A dangerous surge of power threatens to shatter the peace of the classroom. A serene smile hides a chilling truth as her rival's composure shatters in total, unadulterated shock. The tension is peaking. The pressure is mounting. The others are starting to lose it. One by one, the top students are dismissed. The class is thinning out, leaving the stragglers in a cold sweat. 3 hours pass in the blink of an eye. Time's up. She knows she's failed. It's over. She's praying for a miracle, but nothing is coming to save her. Not only did she get crushed by Sylvia, but she couldn't even finish a single task. She's spiraling, questioning her own intelligence, worth, and future. Revenge isn't easy when you're lagging behind everyone else. She's completely out of her league. If you're enjoying this recap, smash that like button and subscribe for more. Deucalion demands to know how much longer he must be kept waiting. Ephraim is stunned. Deucalion is still standing there, just watching her. She stammers an apology, admitting she had a complete breakdown and failed to finish the assignment in time. Deucalion cuts through her excuses, telling her that even if people laugh or get ahead of her, it doesn't matter. He continues his lecture with cold, calculated precision. Even if the person she resents most is standing right in front of her, she must stay composed. He demands she remain cold and logical at all times. He warns her that with such a weak mind, she will never reach his level. Deucalion sighs, admitting he's disappointed in her performance. The silence of the room is shattered by a sudden, sharp impact. Tension hangs heavy as our protagonist stands alone in the dark. A cold, piercing gaze freezes the air. She's locked in a moment of absolute, chilling silence. The clock strikes midnight, and time is running out. Every second brings them closer to the point of no return. The crushing weight of reality slams down, leaving her frozen in a state of pure, absolute shock. He truly thought she was better than this. An intense grip tightens as pure rage radiates from her clenched fist. The air itself trembles under the weight of her simmering fury. Ephraim snaps back, asking him why any of this even matters. She declares she can do this, even if someone like him isn't impressed. The pressure hits a breaking point as raw power surges through her veins. She's pushing past every limit, even if it costs her everything. She shouts that she will do it. No matter what it takes, she'll prove him wrong. Deucalion watches her, thinking that this much shouldn't be a problem for her. He reflects on the 6 hours he spent on her. It was a necessary investment to ensure she grows for the coming challenges. Since the demon appeared on the mountain of darkness, he knows the main quest is beginning soon. When the age of overwhelming evil arrives, the main quest will summon heroes to oppose it. And among those heroes, a much stronger Ephraim will eventually rise. She currently lacks the mental fortitude and mage's instincts, but once she overcomes these flaws, she will show massive growth. Such growth is a potential danger to him, but he's already planning to keep her in check. He scoffs at the concept of fate, calling it a religion for the lazy. He only believes in his own efforts. He wonders if his own reputation is too intimidating for a debutante to catch up. Imagine being so cool that people are terrified to even try. The heavy door swings open with a deafening clatter, revealing a figure consumed by shadows. Tension surges as she makes her chilling entrance. The silence is shattered by the rhythmic echo of footsteps as she stalks through the hauntingly empty hall. Tension spikes with every step toward the mysterious figure waiting in the dark. The session finally concludes. The air crackles with tension as a mysterious golden aura blooms in his palm. What kind of forbidden power is he about to unleash? A mysterious, knowing smirk plays across his lips as he contemplates his next calculated move. Whatever he's plotting, it spells nothing but trouble for everyone else. 6 hours and 25 minutes later, the assignment is finally complete. Deculian notes she has 7 errors, perfectly highlighting the flaws of a non-academy graduate. Tough love. Anyone? Everything seems to be going smoothly, but the air is about to get heavy with hidden motives. Her craftsmanship is surprisingly top-tier. She's a genuine threat to the first-place spot. A successful quest completion. Our protagonist gains a shiny new unit of store currency for the collection. With Ephorine's training wrapped up, Deculian turns his attention toward home. A sudden voice cuts through the silence, bringing his plans to a grinding halt. It's Zeit, stepping out from the shadows. Zeit flashes a grin, noting that it's been far too long since their last encounter. Deculian is left baffled. What exactly is this guy doing here? Talk about an uninvited guest. Zeit stands as the powerful head of the Frieden family and happens to be Julie's older brother. He's the mastermind who single-handedly pushed for the marriage alliance between Deculian and Julie. And let's not forget the most important detail. Zeit is a top 3 combatant, even overshadowing Ganesha. Why would a powerhouse like this want an audience with him? Is he here to settle the score over Julie's Snowflare Stone? If this is a trap, Deculian is in deep trouble. He has absolutely zero defenses against a fighter of this caliber. Zeit offers a friendly smile, claiming he just wanted to check in because the couple hasn't been seeing eye to eye. He demands a dinner meeting later this week. Deculian notes that, for now, the guy seems to be playing nice. Deculian has no choice but to accept the invitation. Zeit is aggressively pushy, making it clear that the logistics are handled and attendance is non-negotiable. The meeting is set whether Deculian likes it or not. Zeit didn't even leave a window open for a polite refusal. In fact, he made it physically impossible to say no. Zeit puts his family's interests above all else. If Deculian gets in the way, things are going to get messy. The next day at the Frieden estate, an argument erupts. Julie is clearly not in the mood for family bonding. She fires back that she and Deculian loathe each other and she's far too busy training knights to play house. Zeit mocks her for sulking over a stolen stone, but she denies it with biting intensity. A heavy, suffocating silence descends as an unseen observer watches the sparks fly. Our protagonist steps into the chaos. He questions her motives. If she isn't mad about the stone, why else would he be buying rare metals if not to forge her a weapon? Julie declares that if he dares to present her with a sword, she will end their engagement on the spot. Pure, unadulterated rage boils over as he grinds his teeth. The fuse has finally been lit. Zeit tells her to keep a cool head and think before she speaks. He warns her that acting on raw impulse is for fools. He lectures her that in the world of politics, emotions are a luxury she can't afford. He presses her, asking why she's so resistant when there's no other man in her life. He scoffs, wondering if she's truly just worried about Deculian's tarnished reputation. He issues a final command: arrive at the dinner on time. The tension reaches a breaking point as the two warriors lock eyes in the arena. A single twitch could trigger a total catastrophe. A white-knuckled fist clenches in pure, unbridled rage. Something explosive is definitely on the horizon. Steel rings out as a blade is drawn. The silence shatters into 1,000 pieces. Death is literally inches away. A blood-curdling roar echoes as the warrior lunges forward. There is no turning back now. The battlefield is about to become a war zone. A deafening shockwave erupts upon impact. The very ground beneath them trembles from the sheer intensity of the strike. The air in the room is so thick you could choke on it. A subordinate notices Julie's sword is vibrating with her overwhelming frustration. A chilling, dark presence looms overhead, casting a sinister shadow. The tension spikes as a mysterious figure enters the frame. It's Varen, a loyal subordinate of the Order of Hadekane. Varen watches her with intense focus. Julie lowers her guard and apologizes for her uncharacteristic outburst. Varen offers a polite, understanding nod. He lets his mask slip just enough to voice his hatred for that abominable Deculian and the forced marriage. Julie shuts him down instantly, reminding him that bad-mouthing others behind their backs is beneath a true knight. The atmosphere turns razor-sharp as a blade is unsheathed. One wrong move here and someone is losing a head. She fixes him with a breathtaking gaze, hiding a lethal edge behind her elegant, gentle smile. The room turns ice-cold as he locks his piercing, blood-red eyes onto her. The weight of his presence is absolutely suffocating. She informs him she's leaving and tells him to prepare himself. A chilling crimson gaze burns through the darkness. The silence is deafening as murderous intent starts to bubble over. Varen stands still, watching her walk away. He muses to himself that he has finally found the solution to her misery. He's found the perfect way to prove his undying loyalty. He swears he will secure her happiness, even if he has to burn the world down to do it. Meanwhile, the Birched Assembly of Elders is in a frenzy discussing the demon sightings on the Mountain of Darkness. They argue that their entire craft was built to slaughter demons, and they must strike back immediately. They make the call to summon the legendary 12 sorcerers. The orders go out across the land. Deculian finishes the tedious work of cataloging his auction hall. He secures the Ruth Aaron ring and the ancient rune necklace, locking the rest away to keep them from grabby hands. There is, however, one stubborn problem left. The most valuable piece of his collection is refusing to play along. The Frostflame stone won't budge, completely ignoring his high-level telekinetic efforts. He questions if the stone is sentient enough to resist him or if he's just lacking the basic knowledge to handle it. A sudden flash of insight strikes. Everything shifts in this intense moment of realization. A passage from a dusty library book comes flooding back to him. To master a legendary blade, one must initiate the process of communion. Does that mean he has to form a spiritual bond with the object itself? If that's the case, he has a long, grueling journey ahead of him. Crackling energy surges through his palm, signaling the birth of a devastating new technique. The room trembles under the weight of his power. The temperature plummets as he glares at his target, eyes burning with absolute intent. The real test starts right now. With a thunderous surge of raw energy, he unleashes a blast of pure destruction. Nothing can stand against that kind of power. A gloved hand slams into the glowing crystal with surgical precision. The artifact responds, pulsing with volatile, ancient energy. 0.1% comprehension after burning through 2,000 mana? At this pace, he'll be an old man before he masters it. He wonders if this pathetic result is really the best he can muster. He decides to call it quits for now and head out. His calendar is packed, and he has no time to waste. First the dinner with Zeit, then a mountain of other soul-crushing obligations. A chilling silence fills the air as he fixes his cold, dead-eyed stare on his destination. The pressure is getting intense. And in 3 days, the death anniversary, a grim date he inherited along with this body. He arrives at the restaurant, feeling the weight of the night ahead. He notes that Julie is already inside. She's early, which is never a good sign. He enters and spots her. She looks absolutely stunning tonight. Draped in ethereal elegance, she commands the room with a gaze that hides 1,000 secrets. This dinner is going to be a wild ride. The stoic noble is completely blindsided. His icy, calculated mask shatters as he's left speechless by the change in scenery. He realizes that without her armor, she's a total knockout. It's no wonder the original Deculion was so obsessed. Josephine enters the conversation, bragging about how much work she put into Julie's look. She mentions she tagged along just to play stylist for her little sister. Deculion hadn't even registered her presence, but he's immediately on high alert. It's Josephine. She isn't just a sibling. She's a named character that Deculion should fear more than death itself. She's a certified sociopath who runs Shadow, an underground intelligence network that sees everything. The only person she actually gives a damn about is Julie. If he breathes the wrong way, Josephine is going to make his life a living hell. He's shocked she hasn't put a dagger in his back yet, but he can feel the lethal aura radiating off her. The second he walked in, he felt her murderous intent aimed right at his throat. If he can feel that level of hostility, this death variable is officially a top-tier threat. He realizes his only hope of survival is to convince her that he's genuinely head over heels for Julie. Josephine cuts the small talk and demands to know the date of the wedding. She shouts across the table to the head of the household. She insists the adults take the lead while the kids stay out of the way. Deculion takes a breath and prepares to speak his mind. A chilling, predatory gaze locks onto him with lethal precision. The hunt is officially on. A dangerous glint flickers in her eyes as she lurks in the shadows. She's definitely found her new favorite toy to play with. He drops the bomb. He's leaving the relationship entirely to Julie. If she wants out, he's happy to dissolve the engagement. Josephine is stunned, calling him reckless and impulsive. She assumes it's just another one of their petty lovers' quarrels. She reminds him that breaking an engagement isn't a walk in the park, and the elders will never stand for it. The family head watches the exchange like a hawk. Josephine demands a private word with Deculion, away from prying ears. The room goes deathly quiet. Zeit nods, leading the way out to give them space. Josephine flashes a fake, sugary sweet smile. She tells them to enjoy their little heart-to-heart. The air turns freezing as he slams his cutlery down, silencing the room in a heartbeat. Tension is off the charts. Deculion wonders what kind of scheme she's cooking up this time. He keeps his mouth shut and waits for her move. The tension spikes as she makes her exit, casting a cold, calculated look that freezes everyone in their tracks. He asks her the million-dollar question. What does she want? Seriously, what is her endgame in this twisted game of chess? A flash of movement cuts through the silence. His cold, piercing eyes track her every twitch with lethal intent. She's still listening in from the shadows. He knows Josephine is lurking right behind the door, waiting for a slip-up. She put on a show of leaving, but she's definitely wiretapping the whole conversation. Reality itself seems to fracture as a terrifying power stirs. Something monstrous is watching from the dark. This is his one chance to turn the tables on his executioner. If he can sell the lie that he's obsessed with Julie, he might just live to see another day. He turns his full attention to Julie. He claims he was simply speaking his truth to the family. Julie looks at him with pure, unadulterated skepticism. He tells her that backing out now is impossible. The situation has spiraled too far out of control. Julie urges him to keep talking. She asks what kind of dirty, manipulative trick he's planning to pull today. She brings up how he forced the engagement and the mountain of broken promises he used to trap her. She glares at him, eyes burning with hatred. He had told her that the battlefield was too dangerous for her. He bullied her out of the Imperial Order and into the Haidcane, starting rumors to ruin her reputation when she resisted. She demands to know what kind of chaos he's trying to stir up now. He admits he knows everything, the full history of his past self-sins. The original Deculion systematically destroyed everything in her life just to keep her on a leash. He finally understands why she looks at him like he's a piece of trash. Julie vows she won't fall for his pathetic tricks ever again. Deculion admits he knows he's been the anchor holding her back this whole time. He acknowledges that his past actions were nothing short of despicable. A cold shiver runs down their spines as the brutal truth lands. The silence is deafening and the tension is absolutely suffocating. If you're enjoying this recap, smash that like button and subscribe for more. But he points out that her own family is just as guilty of pulling the strings as he ever was. He challenges them, asking if their opposition to breaking the engagement is purely a desperate attempt to save face for the family. A cold, heavy silence falls as they weigh their next move. The tension is absolutely suffocating. Decullion drops a truth bomb on Julie, reminding her of the heavy, soul-crushing cost of her ambition. He explains that to walk the path of a defender, she must sever all ties to her family. Talk about a career path with a steep entry fee. Decullion stares deep into her eyes, coldly claiming he possesses neither the honesty nor the loyalty she expects from a noble. Julie is completely blindsided, left stuttering as she struggles to process his sudden, biting outburst. He insists that he is the polar opposite of the noble virtues she holds dear, urging her to just get to the point already. He offers a strange compromise. They will keep the engagement, but they will never marry. He wishes he could set her free, but the political web is just too tangled to escape. He tells her to use his name as a shield until her dreams are realized, promising to wait by her side the entire time. Julie is reeling. Why is he saying all of this now? Is this a trap or a heartfelt confession? Decullion claims he expects nothing in return, but then admits there is one tiny, specific thing he hopes for. A month. That is all he asks for. Julie stares back at him in total confusion. Her face flushes bright red as pure shock takes hold. Something has caught her completely off guard. She lets out a bewildered shout of disbelief. He brushes it off internally, claiming it's all just to avoid death variables. The man is playing 4D chess while everyone else is playing checkers. He admits he simply told her exactly what she needed to hear to keep the plot moving according to his plans. However, something completely unexpected happens. He watches her react, and she's looking visibly flustered by his words. She demands to know why he would ask for something like that so suddenly, and he can't help but think she looks absolutely adorable. He's forced to acknowledge the truth of his own observation, even if it's a bit inconvenient. Julie accuses him of trying to win her over with embarrassing lines, but Decullion just smirks. He's got her right where he wants her. He clears his throat, shifting the conversation back to serious business. Julie tries to put her guard back up, swearing she will never fall for his manipulative schemes. She grows agitated, asking why he's laughing at her, insisting she isn't buying his act for a second. She's internally conflicted, wondering if his feelings might actually be real despite the embarrassment of the situation. If he's telling the truth, then maybe, just maybe, she decides she might just stick around a little longer to see how this whole mess plays out. The tension is thick enough to cut with a knife as they sit down for this suffocating, high-stakes dinner. One wrong move could spell disaster. Villain's fate. Death variable avoided. Reward acquired. Store currency +2. 3. 3 days pass in the blink of an eye. The dreaded death anniversary has finally arrived. The golden light shifts, setting the stage for a moment of profound change. A tranquil path waits, hiding secrets beneath the peaceful canopy. The leaves fall, setting a somber tone for the day. Standing in a cemetery is enough to stir even the coldest heart, thanks to the heavy, melancholic atmosphere. The sunset light filters through the weeds, highlighting the cracks in the ancient tombstones. His heart feels like it's dissolving into the earth before he even has time to process the grief. This is the place that holds his memories. Not Decullion's memories, of course. A chilling memorial stands bathed in golden light, marking the resting place of a fallen soul. The truth is carved in stone. But Woojin's. A flashback sparks. He remembers wanting to put an Easter egg into the game. It all started late one night in the office. He thought adding depth to Decullion's background would be a great touch for a mini-boss. He even got the author's permission. His coworker complains that it's just more pointless work when they're already pulling night shifts. He insists it's important, though his team is clearly tired of his creative tangents. He argues that they have to pour their hearts into the game to make it great. His coworker sighs, telling him to do whatever he wants since he wasn't really asking for permission anyway. Then, a voice chimes in. Someone thinks it's a brilliant idea. She points out that Deculion having a bereaved fiancé adds a perfect layer of tragedy. The tension is thick enough to cut with a blade as he stands caught in a moment of intense, silent hesitation. His composure is slipping, and he can't hide that subtle, burning blush. Back then, Uera was always so excited about these fun ideas. He wonders what exactly she found so enjoyable about this specific misery. She asks if he's finally learning how to be considerate of the people around him. To fully reclaim Kim Woojin's memories, he knows he must follow these traces. He's torn. Was Uera a genius for this, or just plain cruel? He looks at the tombstone, feeling a strange sense of gratitude for her involvement in his backstory. Why did he engrave that name on the stone? Why did Uera insist on using her own name for Deculion's tragic, lost love? And more importantly, ancient, glowing runes emerge from the stone, pulsing with a terrifying power. The secrets of a forgotten era are finally being unveiled. Why did she thank him for it back then? A heavy silence falls as he reaches out to touch the cold stone of the past. The weight of his grief finally manifests in this haunting, solitary moment. A single word is enough to send a wave of raw emotion crashing through his body. He feels as if he can hear Uera whispering to him from the past. Endless memories of those days come flooding back. Flashes of intimacy bridge the past and present, pulling him into a whirlwind of lingering memories. A gentle touch ignites a connection that threatens to unravel his cold composure. A desperate prayer escapes their trembling hands. The weight of the moment hangs heavy in the air. In a rare moment of peace, the two share a tender connection that transcends the chaos of their world. Their locked hands speak volumes in this fleeting, breathtaking embrace. A single, agonizing tear tracks down his face as he reaches his breaking point. The weight of his despair is finally pulling him under. These are his memories of her. A cold, sinister smirk spreads across his face as he corners his prey in the graveyard. The hunt has officially begun. He realizes he has finally found the truth. Suddenly, a voice snaps him out of it. "You filthy mages!" Footsteps echo through the tranquil woods as a mysterious figure approaches. The tension rises with every step under the burning sunset. He immediately sheds his emotional state, his cold Deculion persona snapping back into place like a suit of armor. He stares at the intruder with icy indifference. It's a face he recognizes all too well. The legendary Lockhart, isn't it? Lockhart is stunned that this arrogant mage knows his name. The infamous wizard killer, Lockhart, stands before him. This guy is a dangerous mini-boss, famous for his magic nullification ability. A sudden, earth-shattering force tears through the ground. The target stands frozen as the shockwave rips apart the terrain. In games, a nullification attribute is basically a cheat code. Even worse, Lockhart's ability has no restrictions. He doesn't even need to touch you to shut your powers down. Within his range, magic simply ceases to exist. Lockhart cackles, mocking the mage and boasting that magic is completely useless against him. A lightning-fast slash slices through the air. The target barely dodges as the deadly blade whistles past. A blur of lethal speed cuts through the air. Our protagonist dances around his foe with blinding precision. Most mages would be shaking in their boots, but Deculion? Pure, unadulterated rage takes over as he lunges for the kill. With a blood-curdling scream, he unleashes his final, desperate strike. A brutal, bone-crushing blow connects square with the face. Blood sprays as the impact sends shockwaves through the battlefield. A devastating strike sends him spiraling through the air. He's completely overwhelmed by the sheer force of the impact. To him, this threat is absolutely meaningless. Lockhart growls, frustrated by the mage's lack of fear. A few days ago, Deculion spent his hard-earned store currency on improvements in mana quality. The upgrades significantly boosted his mana manipulation efficiency. He realizes he has to adjust to his newfound power level. He's basically overclocked his own system now. Even with the same amount of mana as before, his output is now exponentially more powerful. Improvements in mana quality, level 1, applied. He's ready to test his new limits. The range is much larger than he anticipated, but it's perfect for the routine he's about to perform. A sudden, violent grip snaps him to attention. His eyes widen in pure, unadulterated shock as the tables turn in an instant. He pauses, remembering his next move. It's a small change, but it essentially elevates the quality of his entire existence. With a single crushing blow, the enemy is sent spiraling into the earth. The battlefield shudders as a new nightmare looms over the fallen. Villain's fate. Overcame death variable, store currency +2. He confirms that his mana quality upgrade also applies to his innate attributes. He could have beaten Lockhart with his previous stats, but this upgrade makes it look like child's play. Lockhart screams in rage, desperate to erase the rotten mages once and for all. He rants about apostates and traitors, calling the magic tower a bunch of lunatics who are nothing without their spells. It's a unique ability that would usually be considered a total game breaker. And that word, apostasy, it triggers a realization. Deculian looks at him with pity. He realizes Lockhart is a descendant of the Red Film race. Lockhart is stunned that his secret is out. The shock is visible on his face. The Bloodshroud race was named for the blood-red film they are born with, rumored to be descended from ancient demons. They live in the shadows of the continent, hiding their true nature from the mages who hunt them. The conflict between mages and the Bloodshroud is the entire foundation of the world's lore. The tension is at a breaking point. That is why the Bloodshroud live in constant fear for their lives. Somewhere, a cleansing is probably happening right now. Deculian tells Lockhart he understands. The history of oppression he's faced is a tragedy. But he warns him, if he kills an innocent, he becomes the very monster he hates. Lockhart yells at him to shut up and stop the moralizing. He just wants to die. Deculian maintains his calm, insisting that the Bloodshroud are innocent too. Lockhart is speechless. A mage actually defending him? Deculian declares his lineage as the Yucklines, a family of nobles who never lose their dignity. Lockhart sneers, calling it a pathetic, pretentious act before the end. Deculian reflects on his own nature. The only time he ever truly lost his composure was when he faced a real demon. The Yuckline bloodline has an ancient, burning instinct to hunt demons that is impossible to suppress. He asks Lockhart if he saw him lose his dignity even for a second. Did he waver under Lockhart's provocations? Did he go berserk like some mindless beast? He reminds him that they are both human. The truth hangs in the air. This is the true dignity of a noble. Suddenly, guards rush in, shouting for everyone to stay back. The scene is chaotic. They order the suspect to stand still and submit to arrest. Inspector Ropa arrives on the scene. He praises Deculian's incredible kick, but Deculian just tells them to leave the villain be. He's already done. The mysterious figure unleashes a crackling surge of blue energy, tearing a hole through reality itself. With his fallen foe left in the dust, he stands ready to step into the unknown. With a flick of his wrist, he unleashes a torrent of searing blue flames. The battlefield erupts as his devastating power surges forward. The guards are in awe of the professor's power. They realize magic handcuffs won't work on Lockhart, so they use steel wire instead. They finally piece it together. That's why he was so good at evading their magical radar. They ask how he arrived so early, wondering if it was a scheduled patrol. If you're enjoying this recap, smash that like button and subscribe for more. Deculian coolly clarifies he had nothing to do with the report. Someone else must have been eavesdropping on the chaos. He washes his hands of the mess, leaving the guards to deal with the aftermath of his accident. A wave of relief washes over him. He managed to avoid turning the floor into a bloodbath today. In this forgotten corner of the world, the ghosts of the past still refuse to stay buried. With a gaze sharp enough to draw blood, he locks onto his opponent with chilling, icy detachment. The silence is deafening. And he's only just warming up. Deep down, he really didn't want to make a scene or hurt anyone. The next day, the halls of Birched echo with the first emergency meeting in 15 long years. Back at his estate, Deculion turns his training room into his own personal pressure cooker. A messenger arrives in person to drop off a parchment. Talk about an old-school notification system in the age of magic. He questions if he's actually the family's babysitter or just the residing head. A demon has emerged at the Mountain of Darkness, and the mages of Birched are scrambling to deal with the fallout. The game interface flashes. Main quest, Birched's Call, has officially been triggered. He decides to bring only one guard, effectively turning this into a high-stakes, two-man suicide mission. He strikes Jeff, the former mercenary, off his potential bodyguard list. He figures Jeff is far more useful behind the wheel of a carriage than in the thick of a fight. He remains completely unfazed, confident that he can handle whatever hellscape comes his way. The path to Birched is a death trap where survival is just a suggestion, not a guarantee. The temperature plummets as he fixes a lethal stare on his enemy. The tension is so tight it's practically humming. Someone asks if he's worried, then immediately backtracks, claiming they just don't want him dead before they get a promotion. The air between them is thick with enough animosity to power a small city. They reach a consensus to handle the guard commission through a trustworthy source. The official order from Freehaim's post is sealed and delivered. Training is in full swing, and the intensity is through the roof. The instructor bellows for more focus, reminding everyone that attitude is the difference between life and death. A suffocating silence descends as they lock eyes across the courtyard. You could cut the atmosphere with a dull butter knife. Someone is clearly wrestling with their conscience, unsure of the next step. Shadows mask his eyes, fueling a murderous intent that would make a demon shudder. There's no escaping that crimson gaze. Varen sneaks up and nearly gives them a heart attack. These warriors really need to brush up on their basic stealth awareness. Varen drops the news of a massive commission, but the details are suspicious enough to set off every alarm bell in their heads. He encourages his comrade to share the burden, though they both know talking to the captain is like walking into a dragon's den. The mission is official. They are tasked with protecting the one and only Deculion. It's masquerading as a train guard mission, but everyone knows the order is just sugarcoating a suicide note. Despite the obvious red flags, the order decides to take the deal. Protecting a train is a massive headache, but the promise of fame and a fat paycheck is too tempting to pass up. Doubt etches across their faces as they recall the explosive history between their captain and Deculion. One member clings to the hope that their captain is a true professional who won't let personal vendettas ruin a mission. Fingers crossed, right? Finally, someone bites the bullet and marches off to confront the captain about the situation. The group prepares for an incredibly awkward conversation. Hopefully, the captain's professionalism doesn't crumble the second Deculion's name is mentioned.